black and white is different than the picture in
Oh,
color.
yeah, so it is. Okay. There it is. Okay. Well, according to this, we got about 4 or 5 people out there. Hello, whoever you are out there. And Chris is here. Hi, Chris. How's the weather in land down under? Hi, Virginia. And Jody's here. Hi, Jody. Well, I got my volume completely turned down. Oh, it's yours.
Oh, it's yours.
Okay. So, Chris says very hot, 7 a.m. And already have the air conditioner on. It's Bonnie here. 3 Celsius. Bonnie's here. Hi, Bonnie. I can still hear something. Is that yours?
I don't think so.
Or is it mine?
No, mine is off now.
Well, mine might have been up a little teeny bit. Okay. Anyways. All right. So, yes, we missed last week, as you know, because, well, I got home in time that we could have done it from the retreat. But to be honest, I was just too tired, not in the mood. So, we're going to carry on today with the second part of our interview with all of you, finding out more, because I didn't get through all my questions the last time. But before that, old Pracy's here. Hi, Pracy. So, what are we drinking and eating today? Hi, Cindy. We are drinking Virgin Caesars.
Again.
Mm-hmm. And hummus and naan. And baba ganoush, whatever's left of it. Geez, I better get in there. I'm not going to get any. You're just snapping that right up, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even hungry.
Neither am I.
We just had Thai for lunch, so. Praise says, hey, Walter, do you have an air fryer?
Yeah, we have a Tefal Actifry.
Are you thinking of getting one, Pracy? Because we love ours. She says, K. Okay. But yeah, we love ours. Oh, she's not thinking of getting one. So why'd you ask? Or is it? Oh, she's got one. Okay.
Oh, the only thing about the Tefal is that it stirs all your food around, so it can. Not that we've had any problems with it.
No.
It's just that if you need something to not stir around, you kind of screwed on it. So.
But I think that's the whole point of it, stirring it around, to fry it.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you can get air fryers that don't do that.
Oh, yeah?
They still do a good job.
Well, that's called a convection oven, isn't it?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. She says hers sits on top of my Instapot.
Well, yeah, okay. You got one of those like Ninja ones or something like that.
Oh, yeah, they have everything combined in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got one of those Instapot things too, but we don't have, it doesn't have the ability to air fry. Hi, Carol. Virginia says she'd like to get one. We like it.
Actually, what happened was I thought of getting one, and then his mother went to visit friends of hers, and they had one, and all she did was complain.
Yeah, but my mother, all my mother does is complain, so that's not a reliable source.
And then she said the fries were dry and all this other stuff. And then when at Christmas time that same year, I went to my sister's, and my sister had one, and she raved about it. So I said, well, let's give it a try. So we did, and actually, we use it.
Yeah, we use it quite a bit. It does a good job on doing things like fresh cut French fries, and I make fried rice in it all the time. It does a really good job of that. And we had chicken wings in it.
Yeah.
And we've made other things too. I can't think what else we've made in it, but actually, I think it was a good investment. And the best part was we didn't pay that much for it, did we? We got it.
Yeah, we got it at Costco. I think it was $170 or something.
Oh, was it that much?
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking about the deal you got in the Instapot. You got a really good deal.
Yeah,
in the
it was $69.
Yeah. Chris is eating her Weetabix and drinking water. Sounds delicious, but it is 7 a.m. in the morning, so I guess that's an appropriate food. Virginia says, I'm cooking without oil and would like some crispy potatoes. Yeah, well, the air fry does do that.
Yeah, it does actually. I mean, you do have to use a little bit of oil, but it's not much. It's like a tablespoon.
Bonnie
But
says, what's the difference between it and the oven? Well, she's not sure what they are. Okay, what they are, Bonnie, is they're a big standalone pot with a stirrer mechanism inside, and it's all non-stick lining. You throw in, say you were going to do stir fry. Anything that you would fry pretty much where it should be rotated a little bit, you throw it in, you put in, they give you a little measuring spoon. I think it's the equivalent of 2 teaspoons of oil.
a tablespoon.
Or a tablespoon of oil, and you just drizzle that on top and set it away. It goes, it shuts up, and it uses air to fry whatever you've got. And it does a pretty good job.
Somewhat like a convection oven, but a little bit more intense.
Yeah, Precy says hers is a Melfi air fryer. I think she means healthy. I'm not sure. Or maybe, no, Mealthy. A Mealthy air fryer. Look it up. It was $56. Okay, well, that was a lot cheaper than what we paid for it. But ours is an active fry. That's what's called.
Well, and we got one that's a larger capacity than the smaller one. So, like, there's a one that's cheaper than the one we've got.
Of course, Precy, you do realize that everything you buy in the States is cheaper than what we buy here in Canada.
Yeah, I know.
So,
we usually have to pay a big premium for that way, yeah.
Yeah, the prices here would shock you, I'm sure. But anyways,
apparently your food prices are more, but your
appliances and
electronics
and everything else,
are
clothes.
That's why a lot of Canadians end up going cross-border shopping. So
yeah, Chris says, can they cook fish and chips? Well, I don't like fish.
I don't know if on the active fry, that's the problem with the active fry is that
it's got to stir.
It's stir, and I don't think it would do a good job on the fish.
No.
But it does a great job on French fries. So.
Yeah.
And you can cook potatoes in just about any shape or form that you want. It all all come out crispy.
Bonnie says, I have a convection oven, so I'm wondering if it would be necessary. Is it a question of it being necessary? No.
I'm not sure. See, Actify stirs all the stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the difference. We have a convection oven as well.
I've never really tried it in the convection oven. You probably can get away with a lot of stuff in the convection oven, but
the only thing is, for example, if you're doing French fries in a convection oven,
you'd have to turn them around.
Partway through the cooking time or that, you have to flop them about, whereas this does that automatically.
And what else this does is it distributes the oil evenly.
Yeah. And I sometimes use like lemon oil when I'm doing like stir fry or fried rice. Which reminds me, we still haven't got any more lemon oil.
No, that's true.
No, gotta find that. But yeah, it comes with a little recipe book with other things you can do. But
I mean, it does have its limitations. But
yeah. Oh, Andy's here. Hi, Andy. In Canada, the Milthy Crisplet is $79. Okay, I haven't heard of that brand. But,
no.
But anyways, we don't need to.
No.
So anyways, what's been happening? Just got off the phone from my mother. It's always something. Now she's complaining. My sister got her some new shoes. Remember, my mother can't walk, right? Got her new shoes, Skechers. You know, sort of a running shoe kind of thing, slip on.
She had a pair of Skechers, but she was complaining that they had dirty soles.
Yes, they were getting dirty. Well, no, they weren't. But they were white soles. So you know what white soles look like. But it's not like she's walking in the mud with them because she can't walk. So I got the hiccups now. So anyways, she's telling me today that she does have, my mother has pretty decrepit feet. She has hammer toe. She claims that's all from wearing pointy high heels in the 50s and the 60s. But whatever. And so her toes are kind of on top of each other. And so they rub. Well, she says these shoes are rubbing to the point where it's actually it's rubbing the skin off the top of her toes and making them bleed a little bit. And I said, well, that's no good. I said, well, maybe we should get you another pair, but get you a size larger. And then she uses the infamous, that's what they all say, because, you know, every time you bring something up, everyone's saying so. So all the staff are telling her, yes, she should have a bigger size. Well, my sister picked them up for her. She knows my mother's size and whatnot. So I said, okay, well, we'll look into it, Mom, and, we'll get you a bigger size. And I said to her, what about something that's more like a slipper? Because usually they're a little roomier and not so restrictive. Well, no, I don't want to look like an old lady. Okay, too late. Already are. But whatever. So I sent a message to my sister, and she's going to go this week sometime and pick her up a new pair. I know we're going to hear bitching about those too. It's not going to matter, but we do it anyways because you can't say that we're neglecting her, okay? Actually, they phoned me up this morning, Nicole, one of the nursing staff there. I think she's the floor nurse, the head nurse, and telling me that just to let me know they were giving my mother a bath last night or something, and she has a bruise on her backside. But apparently, my mother doesn't know how she got it, and I think they were just letting me know because, elder abuse and things like that in nursing homes. But I said, and I think I told them this before, I said, my mother bruises very easily. You look at my mother, she bruises. And it doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to be much of, her running into something or anything like that to do it. I'm kind of the same way. Sometimes I look down and say, well, where'd that come from? Same thing. We're easy bruisers, I guess. So anyways, they just wanted me to know, I guess, so I wasn't going around and accusing anybody of beating up my mother. Okay, that wasn't a thought that came to my head. In fact, if a few of them wanted to give her a little slap every now and then, I'd probably support it. But anyways, Roy's here. Hi, Roy. Bonnie says, as a foot care nurse, she is correct about what she wore as a kid affects your feet as an adult. Yeah, I don't doubt it, because I remember the shoes she wore. But
I think sometimes she's got bunions, and I think sometimes they're hereditary because I have bunions.
Well, Lori has it. My sister has bunions too.
I didn't really wear high heels.
No, you have gnarly feet. Ugh. You see Walter's feet,
But I don't have any hammer toes, but that's probably because my shoes are wide enough.
Well, yeah. But anyways, I was just going to say, Bonnie, would you go along with the idea that maybe if we get her a size larger, that would be of help in this case? Jody says, hi, Bonnie. Is going barefoot in the house bad for your feet? She says, no. I go barefoot as much as possible. Okay. Pointed toe shoes were the worst. Yeah. And my mother had pointed toe shoes and heels this high.
But I never did.
Are you sure? I don't know, Dorothy. So, Bonnie says definitely a size larger. Yeah, that's what I figure. So we're going to give it a try and see.
I think it's probably her hammer toe that's rubbing at the top.
Yeah, probably. But the thing is, she doesn't walk.
Yeah, I know, but that's because normally if you buy a pair of shoes, right, you wear them in when you walk, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Your feet get used to them and stuff like that. But if she doesn't, wide toe box. If she doesn't, if she doesn't walk or anything, then she doesn't have any chance to wear them in.
Well, the shoes we got her she likes these ones. These are the ones she wanted. They're Skechers. She had a pair before, and she really liked them. And so my sister pretty much got her the same ones, except these ones she got with a black sole on them, so they won't look like my mother was in a panic because her white soles on her shoes were looking a little dull. Well, that happens with white, right, in shoes. But anyways, so... And she'd had those shoes for a few years, too. She had them way before she ever went home. Yeah, but see, those shoes she wore in because she actually walked in them. Yes, that's right. She walked into them. So, I don't know. We'll see what we can do about it. But Roy says the best is walking barefoot on a freshly cut and groomed lawn. I often think that's why we bought a house rather than a condo.
Just make sure you don't have dogs.
And on the beach. Yeah. There's nothing like the feeling of walking across nice, lush green grass and then feeling that lovely, warm squish between your toes because you just walked in the dog turd.
Around here is rabbit turds, skunk turds, everything else.
Yeah, Chris says slipper socks. I got her some of those. With the rubber thing on the bottom.
She wore them a lot when she was living in the apartment.
Yeah.
But
she can't wear them in the nursing home because they don't want them wearing something like that, even though they don't slip. But the thing is, it's a safety thing, to protect their feet.
Yeah, you never know what's laying on the floor in the nursing home.
Well, possibly a dead person, but, you just step around it. It's like parsley. You just go around it. So anyways, that's my mother. So the sewing retreat that I was at there 2 weeks ago now, or
Last week.
was that last weekend?
Yeah.
How time flies when you're having fun. It was a lot of fun, except I had sexist women. Yeah, I did. And just in case anybody ever thought that sexism doesn't work both ways, like i.e. that men are not the only ones that are sexist, women are too. And I'll give you an example. Okay, 30 women, me. Okay? Unisex washrooms where we were doing the sewing. All right, so I turned around and there was a point there I made a little joke out of it. I said, first of all, I really appreciate it this weekend that all of you are really trying to refer to the whole group of us as quilters as opposed to ladies. I've been working on them on that one. Actually, it wasn't my idea. It was one of the other women's ideas in the guild, that Diane. It was her idea that we should be using the term quilters, not ladies. And I said to them, and I want you to know, since I'm the only man and it's a unisex bathrooms, I do put the seat down. So, if you go in there and the seat is up, I'm not the one doing it. It just means somebody else here has a secret they're not telling you about. So, and then I had one person walk up to me that was an organizer and kind of say to me in a quiet way, which I didn't really feel she needed to do this at all, but I guess it was sort of a backhanded compliment for thinking about the women, I guess. She said, "Oh, thank you for bringing that up about the toilet seat." She says, "I was going to approach you about that to see whether or not, how, if you were a stander or a sitter. Depends on what I'm doing, okay? Certain things are better done sitting down." And I said, "Well, I am a man, so I go the way that, as far as I know, most men go, if you're doing number one." So anyways, I thought, why would that be necessary to bring up to me? It's a unisex bathroom. I'm sorry. It's not that hard to put a toilet seat down, but I did it as a courtesy, okay? I come from a household of men. Even the cat didn't have a problem with us leaving the seat up. Of course, she used a litter box. So, but, she was the only girl in the house.
Prezi says she poops standing up.
Okay, Pressy.
That's a little too much information.
That's too much information. Although, I have heard that because of the state of public washrooms, and for men, the state of a public washroom, I think, is not quite so bad as long as you're just going into tinkle.
She says she's just joking.
Oh, well, damn. I would have believed that Tracy did that for some reason. I know, though, that there are I have heard some women say that when they go into a public washroom, they sort of squat. They don't.
Well, that's what you have to do in China. Because
well, it's just a hole in the floor, but
yeah, the Chinese ones are flush toilets in the floor.
In the floor.
So you have to squat.
Yeah.
Which, thankfully, I never had to do when we were in China because I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, Virginia says, "Oh my, what a topic to bring up." Yeah, I don't know how we got on it, but we did. And Bonnie says, "I agree that sexism is apparent in craft type activities." Yeah, and so the sewing retreat was fine. I had a good time. I didn't get as much done as I want to get done. I'm still behind on the Christmas stuff that I'm making, but that's all on me. I mean, I put myself in that position. Can't blame anybody else. I would like to, but I can't. But I had a good enough time, and it really helped me to get to know, a number of the members in the guild much better, which is good. There was one little problem, but I don't think I should bring it up because it'll just open up a can of worms. And no, I'm not going to bring it up. It's been resolved and it's fine. So then we had the guild show the last few days. I'm a little tired today from that. Wolster was helping out with that too. It was a good success. We had about 188 quilts on show, and no, I didn't win a ribbon for mine, but they only had 3 ribbons.
A lot of people were looking at your quilt, the black and white one.
And people come up and tell me how much they like the black and white one. I said the quilt from hell, the 420 half square triangles to make it. But the one that did win, what deserved to win. There was
Yeah, it
no
was
two way
beautiful.
about it. It was
It
just
was absolutely beautiful.
to be able to do a quilt like that would be. I don't think I'll ever be able to. But I mean, this person also, she quilted it herself, and the quilting was it was heavily
Very intricate.
very intricate, and very heavily quilted. So that took a long, long time. And the challenge quilt, which is the one that I showed it to you a long time ago, with the butterfly fabric. I mean, I was really proud of that one because you had to design it yourself. You had to use the fabric they told you to use, and it had a theme, Flutter of Friends or Flutter of Friendship or something like that. It's sort of a butterfly theme thing. Well, one of the ladies who actually I was working with when we were setting up quilts, I saw her quilt for that. I said to her, so as I looked, I said, "You're going to win first prize. There's no two ways about it." Because what she had done was she had done in applique the faces and the upper bodies and faces of 5 women. They were friends of hers, and they're all at like a retreat or quilting in it. And she'd incorporated the challenge fabric into that, but she'd also put 3D elements in it because she put earrings on them, and she made the earrings out of like empty bobbin cases and spools and things like that, sewing related stuff. They were all done sort of in caricature form, but it was great. I mean, just the creativity of that. Yes, she won for that one, the viewer's choice, which that's okay because it deserved to win. There's no two ways about it. Yeah, Chris says, sorry you lost for a while. Sorry
Internet
you
a
lost
rule.
you
Yeah.
by a while. Internet is a real location, can sometimes suck. Oh, okay. Did exhibits come down like a circus tent? They
Yes.
did. It was incredible. It took us about 2.5 hours to get 188 quilts hung up, but it was so well organized. Walter was ladder
one
man.
of the people hanging quilts.
Yeah.
So.
I was one with the master plan that was given to me by the person who designed it all.
Actually, it was really well organized.
Yeah.
Putting the quilts up because there's just 2 of us. There was 4 of us actually hanging quilts. I was on a team with another guy, and we were really putting them up. The first couple of quilts were a little slow to get up, but once we got a rhythm going, they started coming up really quick. And what else was good about that is there's a woman had a master plan as to where the quilts were going, and she had people running to get the quilts.
The quilts were all numbered. When people brought the quilts in, they had a certain window of time to bring their quilt in before we were hanging them. And when they came in, they were assigned a number, and this number was part of her master plan. And she knew the dimensions of all the quilts coming in, because when we first submitted our quilts, before we physically took them in, we'd filled out a form online saying the name of it, who we were, and the dimensions of the quilt. And so she knew the dimensions of the bars of the frames, and she had it all worked out, had a diagram, and it was all numbered with where the quilts were going to go. It must have taken her hours to do it. And at first, it looked a little complicated, like trying to figure out what she was doing. But once we'd hung a few of them, then I was one of the ones that would call for the quilts and tell them where they're going to go from her master plan. Once I got used to the way her mind was working on this, I saw the logic in it, and I was able to follow through. And they just went up like that with it. And that's no small feat, because they'd had, the last time they did a quilt show, which was, they do one every 3 years, I guess they were there till midnight on the setup day, getting the quilts up. We had them up, we started at 11 o'clock, we had them all up by about 12:30, 1 o'clock. I think like that. It took no time at all. I'm taking them down, 25 minutes. People were up on ladders, clipped the
We had a lot of extra help.
yeah,
There's a lot of extra help there to take them down because, once you got your quilt down, you couldn't have them hit the floor or anything.
No.
Like that. Somebody had to be down at the bottom to catch them, type of thing.
it was kind of amazing to watch it, because 2 guys up on ladders, they would clip these straps that were holding the bars up, Another couple of us were down the floor. We would take the bar, we'd slide the quilt right off. There'd be one of the ladies be standing at the end of that. It would go right into her arms. She and another lady would fold it up. They'd run it up to the stage in this hall area where they were laying them all out. They were putting them back in plastic bags, clear plastic bags. And they had the numbers on them still because they had pinned these to the back of it. And then when the people came in, we were supposed to get it all taken down between 4 and 5 o'clock. We were done before 5 o'clock. And people were coming in to pick up their quilts, and they had their receipt that had all the numbers. People on the stage, they'd call out, I need number 8, 91, 101, bang, 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 sign the thing, off they go. It was really fast. So anyways, it went well. I think we've made our money. See, this is our major fundraiser, apparently, to get us through the next 3 years. And they have to pay for the hall and that. And we had vendors. But I would say there was probably about 800 people that went through over the 2 days. So that's pretty good. And a lot of people seem to be impressed by the show because they were coming out and say, oh, that show was just great. I hadn't seen one so well organized and the whole bit. So good thing. I'll hear all the end results and the dollar things at our executive meeting in January when they get everything figured out. Bonnie says, I have a new type of method for hanging quilts in my house. Love it. No big sleeve, etc. So tell me, Bonnie, how do you do this? Because I've now got a problem. I have too many bloody quilts. I just put 5 of them on the guest bedroom bed today because I have nowhere. I can't hang them. And my quilt ladder is full. So I don't know. I gotta start giving quilts away. So, anyways, speaking of internet problems that Chris just had, you may or may not know. I think I talked about. Well, I did talk about this on my vlog. So if you watch the vlog this week, you know what I was talking about. We went down the weekend before the retreat. Or was it the weekend? No, the weekend before, and we had limited access to the internet. And it was across Canada. And I'm going to sneeze.
Yeah, we had that the weekend, our last, what do you call it? Our last,
yeah, just before our last.
Yeah, because we weren't sure if our internet would go down in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, we discovered that on the Monday, we had discovered that after our last broadcast that our internet still was not working properly. We couldn't connect to certain sites. They would come up and say, no page found or whatever. And it was really unusual because if I did a search on Google for an internet, for a site, it would come up and tell me the site. I would populate it into my search and it wouldn't find the site. But if I found it in a link and I clicked it on a link, then it would work. So it was really bizarre.
And people were complaining across the country about this. Businesses that relied on it were getting screwed up. And Bell, who's our provider for this, major provider in Canada for the internet, television, telephone, cell service, said nothing. Absolutely nothing. We suspect they may have gotten hacked, but we don't know. We're just speculating. And
what else was really weird was because of this, we ended up having to get a new modem.
We had to get a new modem
because we were having these glitches.
Yeah, I was reading here. But yeah. So, anyways, it's up. It's running now. Fine. One thing I did learn out of it all, though, is I was using Windows Edge as my browser out of habit more than anything. I've gone to Chrome, and Chrome is a lot better. It's faster than Windows Edge. And
well, I know a lot of businesses from the business perspective, for some reason, aren't programming their sites so that they work well on Edge.
Yeah.
So
anyways, we're up now and running again, and Bell still has not made has not said a word about it. It wasn't even on the news.
Maybe the box in the corner did it.
Yeah. Well,
we've been having problems with her too.
Yeah. I think I want to lock her up in the attic as well. Just looking back here, Carol says, Bonnie says, I'll take any that you want to dispose of. I'll put you on my list. Perry says, my sewing machine, Carol says, they sell glass and wooden chests that you fold up your quilts and display them in it. Holds a good number of full-size quilts. Oh, I've never seen anything like that.
Who's they?
Carol says. Well, they. Yeah. Well, I guess they. The all-inclusive they. Whoever. No. Well, maybe I'll look into that. Tracy says my sewing machine I bought 4 years ago is a lemon. I thought it was me. Oh. Let's see. Oh, Anita's here. Hi, Anita. And Virginia says my computer doesn't like Edge. No, mine doesn't either. And
Yeah, well, I used to use Edge all the time too, and I found that there were too many sites that I couldn't get into with Edge. So a long time ago, I switched to Chrome. So.
Well, Bonnie says go Mac and you'll never go back. Yes, I know.
The only problem is I was always a software developer, and the Mac limits what you can do. Not that I do a lot of that other stuff internally, but I like having the control.
Yeah, they say that if you have always been a PC user, you will get very frustrated with a Mac. I mean, imagine over time you get used to it because of the way that it kind of makes you do things in a certain way. And that's why I've always held back from it. Plus, I held back from it because the school system that I was in did not use Macs. They used PCs. So, I mean, I needed to be compatible with the school.
And I always programmed on a PC,
but I've toyed with the idea. My computer's getting pretty old, and I've been thinking about it. It would be a big, because I know that when it comes to video stuff and that kind of thing, it is so much easier to use. I use iMovie for all my videos.
I do think
on my iPad.
Mac is probably superior for artists and for doing things like movies and film and that. I think that's more superior. I think it's far more superior on a Mac.
Yeah, Chris says, Tracy says she uses 7 browsers. Again, Tracy, not surprised. And Bonnie, Chris says she's used Chrome for years and loves it. Bonnie says my machine.
I do have some issues with some of the things I've done on Chrome.
Yeah. But for the most part, right now, with I've been using it, I like it a lot better. I should have gone to it years ago. Bonnie says my machine embroidery program is now on my Mac and I love it. Okay, Bonnie, machine embroidery. What's your sewing machine and what's the program you're using? Because guess who just bought a new embroidery machine? Right there.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. But.
There's so many things you'll do with it. Tracy says the tension wheel is non-functioning on her sewing machine. Well, you could probably get it fixed. Maybe. I don't know. What kind of sewing machine is it? Chris says I'm an Apple person, love my Mac, iPad, and iPhone. And Bonnie says I was always a PC user and will never go back.
Yeah, but were you a PC programmer?
Who knows? I don't know. They're expensive. That's all I can say. They're sleek looking. I'll give them that. They look really cool. And if you notice, everybody I swear that is a YouTube content creator has an iMac has a Mac except me.
She has a Brother E400. I have no idea what a Brother E400 is.
Don't know. Brothers sewing machines are not that popular in Canada.
Yeah, they're popular in the United States. Yeah. And in Canada, they're very difficult to get repaired. Yeah. Because you can't get the parts.
Bonnie says you won't regret buying a Mac. And Chris says she loves iMovie. Yeah, I like iMovie. Anita says, I'm seeing all of a sudden YouTubers are really concerned on the new COPA law and how their channels will be in 2020. You know, I think that's a lot of scare tactic. But it has affected me too, because today when I was setting up the live, I had to answer whether or not this was, if this was directed at kids. Well, no, none of my videos are directed at children. But if you say that they are, you lose your monetization, or for some reason. I don't get what this COPA law is about, and I've been watching some videos on YouTube where people are talking about it. Mike Deacon, he was talking about it and how it was going to affect him. There's a British guy that I reviewed, I forget what his name is. He was talking all about it too, and the whole bit. You know, I'm not going to worry about it, because why should I? My channel is not for children, but if a kid happened to see it, I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to warp them out of their mind for the rest of their life. So I don't know. It's YouTube having some kind of reaction to this American law because they don't want to get sued. So they're trying to pass the buck kind of to the content creators. And yeah, I get it, protect kids. Actually, I think who should be protecting kids from YouTube then and from all media forms should be their parents. But I mean, for little kids, once kids become teenagers, well, is there any way you can control them, what they're going to see? They'll find a way. If you tell them they're not supposed to watch something, they'll immediately going to watch it, right?
Virginia, yes, I bought a Janome. It's it's the new embroidery only machine. It doesn't sew. It doesn't just embroidery, and it's the E550.
Bonnie has 3 machines. 2 are embroidery. She has the Husqvarna with PP2, whatever PP2 is.
Pressy is making an expansion pack to
her bacon cheeseburger couch. Yeah, you saw the picture, didn't you?
Yeah,
that was really that's what can I say about that? It's both a work of art and just, oh my God, your imagination is great. Praises the laws are about stupid mummy bloggers. Ugh. Yeah, probably. My Mac is 8 years old in the same time my husband has gone through 4 laptops. That's interesting.
Well, I have my current laptop was a gaming computer, and it's about 2013, still hanging in there. So
yeah, and I think so. But
it's on a lot.
I'm just trying to catch up here on what everybody's writing. We're talking sewing machines and we're talking about Copa. By Premiere Plus 2 Extra is my embroidery computer program. Oh, I know what you're talking about on that because I checked out a sort of a trial version of it, but of course it's no good to me because I'm not using a brother machine, but I just checked it out to see what that was all about. Copa, she got Copa Cabana. Oh, Copa Cabana.
Actually, how it all started out with me with the embroidery machine. Well, actually, I've been thinking about getting one for Beth. And, but, cost and everything else. Well, anyway, when he was at the retreat, he said that he had heard that somebody had a lightly used E450 Janome, and they were asking $1,200 for it.
Yeah, but it was used.
It was used, but it was a question as to how used it was. And I had phoned up about it to the man that had the shop that supposedly had it on sale. But actually all he was doing is he was, as a special favor to the person, to one of his customers, he had the machine in the store, but he was, basically she was selling it, right? So, and he said to me, and the way he said it to me was, according to her, it's lightly used. And all this other stuff, right? But this woman bought it. It's a machine that's a 2016 machine. And the woman that bought it bought it for her business and said that it was too slow and wanted to, and ended up buying an industrial machine to replace it. And so I was kind of questioning as how little used it was.
Yeah, and he wasn't going to be standing behind it either.
Yeah,
so.
And it wasn't like it was, it may have needed some tune-up or whatever, which also costs money, right? And I wasn't really sure how used it was. So I decided against it and decided to buy new instead. It was more money. But I like the idea of having a
and you know where you're getting it. You will get good service with it if you have any problems or anything. So, yes, it's more expensive, but you get what you pay for, I think, too, sometimes. So just backing up here, on the COPA issue, Roy says COPA will not affect crafting channels that much. What I want to talk about is what is the responsibility of the parents? Well, exactly. That's what I figured, too. there's these laws to protect kids from this, that, and the other thing. But I mean, where does the protection start? At home.
Well, I guess
with
also,
the parents.
I guess maybe it also from standpoint that I guess if you're offering it on the internet, then who
Well, that's the problem with stuff that's on the
Yeah.
internet. Everything's on the internet, and it's very difficult to regulate the internet.
I mean, there's porn on the internet.
Well, there's
that's
everything
readily
on the
accessible.
internet. You can get everything on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, that's fine. But there's all this talk, and nobody seems to be clear. At least I haven't found a clear explanation as to how it does affect us as content creators and what we're supposed to do. And YouTube doesn't seem to be clarifying that very well.
Just to answer you, yes, industrial sewing machines do have bobbins.
Oh.
And a lot of times from what I've read, they have larger bobbins
Yeah.
than standard home machines.
And Pracy says, Steve, did you get my email? Yeah, I did, and I checked out those articles and things, Pracy. Thanks for that. It was quite interesting. And to be honest, I'm going to have to go back and review it again because I'm having a bit of I remember them, and now I'm having a block as to what they were about. Senior moment.
Yeah, you do need another thread source from the lower end of the stitch. So it has to be a bobbin of some sort or a way for the machine to take in the bottom thread.
Yeah. Julie says Copa will affect crafting channels. And Roy says it's like taking a child for a walk in the city and going past a sex toy shop telling the kid not to look. Hell, walk on the other side of the street and talk to your other kids about life. Yeah. Well, anyways, I don't know. We don't know enough about COPA to really understand what this means. I'm looking at it this way. I'm going to do what I've always done. And if somebody doesn't like it, then I guess I'll find out. But I'm not doing anything that's going to harm children. So, I don't know. Screwy little buggers anyways. And Chris, as I said, I think COPA is all about passing on any liability onto content providers and removing them from themselves. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's just basically YouTube covering their rear end kind of a thing. So anyways, let's move on. So we had interesting last week. We have a celebrity. If you follow hockey, you may know who I'm talking about. We don't follow hockey, but we know this guy. He's kind of a Canadian icon, not in a good way. Don Cherry. He's a sports announcer, but he comes on the hockey games, and they have something called the Coach's Corner. And he's a bit of a controversial character anyways. He, for example, he always wears these loud jackets that he has made from upholstery material, has for years, and he has custom-made dress shirts that have collars that are so stiff they actually look like they're holding up his head, like they come up to here. And this is sort of his trademark. And he's also kind of somebody who, well, he's not really politically correct in most of the things he says, but I guess he said something on the air a couple of weeks ago that got some fallout from it. And he was talking about Remembrance Day, Americans' Veteran Day, our Remembrance Day, and whatever else you call it in other parts of the world. And he made some comment about new immigrants to our country and that they're not wearing the poppy and that's showing basically disrespect and they come here. Well, that's all he said, basically. And, he called them people, or those people. He said, those people. And I think it might have been the tone, but he is very gruff with his opinions and things like that. And I think that's why people watch him, because, he's a bit of a character. Well, he lost his job. The television network, CBC, was it CBC? CBC or Sportsnet or somebody, whoever he worked for, that they fired him because of this. Because they said that basically his comments bordered on, well, they didn't really use the term hate, what is it called? Hate language or whatever, that kind of thing. But they just dismissed him. Now, he's 85 years old. He's been around since Methuselah. He probably should have retired from this 10 years ago or more. But anyways, so he's no more. And I just got thinking that, I think he's a bit of a crackpot. I don't watch him. I could care less what comes out of his mouth. But obviously, some other people did care, and they fired him just like that. But there's been worse things said in the media, and those people are still out there with it all.
Well, I
So-
actually did say that he was willing to reword his comments, but I guess they wanted him to do a further apology, which he decided.
He said he wasn't going to. And you want to know something? As much as I'm not really a fan of his, I don't think he said anything that bad. I think he probably should have said, look, maybe I said it in a way that's not the way I really meant it. What I meant was, I don't know what he meant. But it wasn't like he said, let's get out there and send all the immigrants back from the country they came from and shut our border doors and build a wall. He didn't put their children in cages, He didn't separate families at the border. I think you're getting my references and all that kind of stuff. And yet he lost his job over it. Well, I don't know. Just
Bonnie's all for him getting fired. So.
Yeah. Well, I think he's a crackpot, but I don't know.
I think he's an old fart with old ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably better. Yeah.
And it's hard for them to, and yeah, he probably shouldn't be on front of TV saying that stuff. But
oh yeah, Bonnie, he definitely met immigrants. Yeah, there was no doubt about that. That's because he said that new people coming to Canada or whatever. Well, that's immigrants, right?
Yeah.
Um.
However, then you can't lump all immigrants in one pot either.
No, true. But I don't know. What I'm saying is, yes, he shouldn't have said that. But there's been so much worse that has been said by other celebrities in our own country that...
For instance, a couple of years ago, I can't remember what it was, I think it was in baseball, but some baseball player said the word faggot.
Yeah.
Right, in there, right? You didn't use the N word, but you used the F word. And he didn't get disciplined as severely
as if he had used the N word.
As if he had used the N word, and I took offense to that.
Yeah,
because as far as I was concerned, he should have been disciplined exactly the same way.
But didn't you read something where they've been trying to break his contract, Don Cherry's contract, for years?
Yeah,
and he's been holding on.
Yeah.
And this may have been the excuse for them to get rid of him as well.
Yeah.
So I think there's more to it than what we know, as there often is on things like this. But I'm not defending him, but at the same time, I'm thinking this was a knee-jerk reaction to a comment, quite frankly. And that would make sense then that they were trying to get rid of them. They were using that as the excuse to get rid of him.
Well, okay, see, Bonnie says, being a constant mouthpiece for mean and racial comments. See, again... We don't watch him on
We don't watch him enough, so I don't know what he has said in the past. So that's could be. And if that's the case, then yeah, they probably should have got rid of him long ago.
Yeah.
Out of it all. So I don't know. So anyways, but it's just kind of interesting because he is unfortunately a Canadian icon of sorts. And sort of the end of an era, I guess.
Well, he's 85. How much longer can he go?
Well, true. Yeah, he'll be dead soon. So, Bonnie says, as you can see, I'm absolutely against crap. Yeah, but we've got lots of it. And Jody says, there's usually a backstory that viewers are not aware of. And I think, where was it? Jody said earlier, my hubby is in TV. It's cutthroat business. It's all about ratings, zero security. Yeah, of course. One day the public loves you, the next day they hate you. So, the public's fickle when it comes to anything like that. Backstory to Cherry, Bonnie says, yeah, not sure what it is, but no excuses to mean. Yep. But it's getting to the point now we're all so politically correct in the whole bit. You can't breathe or look at somebody the wrong way and you're going to get accused of being racist, sexist, misogynistic, full of hate, against immigrants, whatever. It doesn't matter. We might all just keep our ideas to ourselves and don't say anything beyond hi and leave it at that. And the world would be very boring at that point. Tracy says, I'm tired of these Republican personalities making comebacks. Stay gone. Yeah. Anita says, I have my kitchen dining room all ready for Christmas and we put up the tree yesterday. Whoa, okay, we haven't got that point yet, but actually next
I've
weekend,
been trying to figure out what day I can put Christmas lights up.
yeah, Walter's waiting for the coldest day of the year because that's
Yeah.
traditionally when he puts up the lights and then freezes his hands off. And Bonnie says, this is not politically correct, just SH. Oh, are we supposed to fill in the other letters on that one? And he says, all this is why I prefer horses and dogs to people. Yeah, for me it's cats. So anyways, that was in the news. And just moving down before we get into asking more about you people out there. You people. Oh my God, they're going to take me off the air now. I've referred to you as you people. And oh my God. Oh, yeah, whatever. Bite me. So, what are we watching? Well, we just finished the 4th season, and it's the final season in Man in the High Castle. If any of you have watched it or not, I don't know. I actually think the last season was the best. With it, it's on Prime. So if you don't have Prime, you probably, I don't know if it comes on something else or not, or if it's a Prime exclusive.
It's a Prime exclusive.
Oh, okay, it's a Prime exclusive. So if you don't have Prime, you can't watch it. But if you did see it, I thought it was a pretty good series. Chris says, I'm loving it up to season 2. Oh, okay, well, I won't tell you how it ends. But season 4, as I said, is probably the most interesting of the seasons. And Jody says she's putting up her tree as she speaks. I have my iPad next to it so I can comment. Okay, there's a way to go. Yeah, what else? I saw a movie on Netflix called Polar. Now, it's very violent. It's a little strange. A lot of action in it. Would never win any awards for anything. But if you like that kind of thing, I'd say watch Polar. I kind of liked it. Sort of a sick way, but I kind of liked it. And what am I reading? Oh, I finally finished The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, the sequel to Handmaid's Tale. It was good. It was really good. And what I really liked about it too was she tied up the loose ends, especially at the very end of the book. She has sort of an addendum where it takes place in 2197. There's a symposium about Gilead, and you hear about what happened after Testaments, basically, and how it destroyed Gilead finally and whatnot. But if you were following The Handmaid's Tale on when the video production, the 3 seasons of it or whatever. Now, interesting, are they going to have another season of it?
Yeah.
Oh,
planned,
okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder how this, because her book definitely, it like takes place about 30 years after, or 40 years after the first book. And it is a sequel, or a continuation, but it's different too. It's good though. It is very good. I'm reading some little pulpy thing right now that I got for nothing called Murder on the Black Swan Lane. Couldn't tell you any more about it because I've only read the first chapter. It's sort of a murder mystery. It takes place in Regency England or something time period. What do we got saying here? Priest says, I'm upset that Joanna and Chip Gaines take over of DIY channels cost Nicole Curtis her show. I know, Precy. I was saying the same thing the other day at dinner to Walter. I was in tears. I was absolutely in tears. I don't know who these people are or what you're talking about. We don't watch DIY. Sorry. And he says, we are watching the new episodes of Mad About You on Spectrum On Demand. Loving it. Mad About You. Don't know that show.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, but it sounds familiar. Yeah. Wasn't there an old TV show called Mad About You or something at one point in time? I don't know. Priest says, I'm waiting for Unsolved Mysteries new season on Netflix. Actually, I thought it was up. I thought I saw that the other day, or maybe it says it's coming soon or something. I don't know. Actually, in another week or so, I think Vikings is supposed to start again. I love it. Priest says, Mysteries at the Museum is similar. Okay. Bonnie says, I can read the Testaments without the Handmaid's Tale.
Can I read the Testament?
Can I read the Testaments without the Handmaid's Tale? Not really. Well, you could, but no, you couldn't. No, because you would be so lost. because you wouldn't understand the references that are made.
Yeah.
and-
What about if she had watched the TV show?
Oh, you'd be okay if you watched the TV show. Yeah, if you watched the TV show, you'd be okay with it. And Virginia says, I read both books in sequence and did enjoy both. Yeah. And Bonnie says, wondering why Chip and Joanna are so popular. Okay, we don't know this show.
Probably because we don't get a do-it-yourself.
Oh,
channel,
yeah, we don't get
and we
DIY.
don't get whatever the
Yeah.
equivalent to that is in Canada. So
And-
because we're cheap, we don't get.
Roy says, tee I watched the Stephen Walter show. Yeah, that's all you need. And Bonnie says, I'm totally into podcasts these days doing my embroideries. Yeah, when I'm sewing, I'm usually listening to podcasts as well. Nicole Curtis is rehab addict. She remodels old houses to historical accuracy. I have a girl crush on her. Okay. Nita says, oh yeah, so the Mad About You. Anita says, yeah, Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt. Yeah, he's now 63 and she's 56. Show picks up where they are going off to college. Oh, okay, so they've kind of like with Will and Grace and with the Connors, they haven't been on the air for 20 years and whatever, and now they pick it up 20 years later, kind of an idea. That seems to be the trend in TV shows now, bringing back the old ones, but with, what happens 20 years later kind of a thing. Well, Bonnie, don't be afraid to express your opinion. She says, don't bother watching it. It's not worth it. Okay. Which one? The Chip and Joanna or the...
Chip and Joanna go to an anti-gay church.
Was that? They go to... They do? Where'd you read that?
Prezi, down here. Chip and Joanna.
Oh, go to anti-gay church. Oh, okay.
In a positive way or not?
I don't. Is there a positive? I don't know. Chris says The Handmaid's Tale. I watched season 1. Fox in Australia removed it from Netflix and put it on Foxtel on a paid channel and waiting it for return in Netflix in Australia next year. Oh, that's kind of a bit of a pain. Everybody says, yep, Chip and Joanna. Okay. Well, we don't get those channels, so we can't say. So what's been cooking? Well, while I was at the sewing retreat, Walter was having his favorite foods that I don't like. He was having cooked beets.
Harvard beets.
Oh, and he sent me a picture of them, and I showed it to other people, and they were saying, what's that, barf? Yeah, pretty much. And kale. Okay.
Cooked kale.
If I want something green like that, I'll eat the front lawn, because it's the same difference with kale.
Leftover kale. I didn't leave any leftovers today.
Well, I wouldn't be touching the beets. Kale, well, I don't mind. I can handle kale, but beets, no, can't handle beets. But then we had for dinner the other night, had one of my favorites that Walter's not so fond of, and that's cream corn. Yum. So we, took advantage of not being here to have the foods that he likes. You can have beets anytime you want them. I just want to be in the same room with them. Okay, I'm not sure what this is all about, but whatever. Moving on. All right, so we got the business out of the way. Let's carry on with our conversation about everybody else. So, first thing I'm going to ask is, except for the ones that are already Canadian, because the answer is obvious, who's been to Canada? And what part of Canada? And did you like it? What didn't you like? Tell us if you have been to Canada.
Why don't people like green? I like green colored veggies.
I don't mind green colored
Except for kale, right?
Well, I don't hate kale. It's just, to me, kale is tasteless.
The other thing I like, I haven't made in a long time, is endive.
Endive. Well, it's bitter though.
No, it's not too. Yeah, so you gotta mush it up with your potato.
Yeah, okay. See, you're Dutch. You mush everything up with your potatoes and think it looks good. Roy says, anyone ever toss kale in some oil and sprinkle a little salt, put them in a very hot oven until toasty?
Well, that's kale chips, aren't they?
Is that kale chips?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not
buy them
really.
in bags,
Yeah. Roy says they were married in Toronto in 2005. Chris has not been, but she'd like to come someday. Anita has not yet been to Canada. Yeah, I find that kind of funny. Anita, funny in that because you're where? You're in Ohio, aren't you? And Ohio's not really all that far from us, in a way, because we've been to Ohio before. But it just seems well, I suppose if you come up, actually, it's a good time for Americans to come to Canada.
And to Toronto and Thunder Bay. Well, why would you go to Thunder Bay?
Yeah, why? But I was going to say before we ask about the Thunder Bay one, good time now for Americans to come to Canada because you're going to get more bang for your money.
Except they have to pay our taxes. So.
Oh, that's true too. But can they not apply to get those taxes back?
I'm not sure.
Like, you know how you can.
It used to be for sales tax that you could get some of it back, but I can't remember. I think they've changed a lot of the laws. So,
So just backing up here. Virginia says Niagara Falls better on the Canadian side. Yeah, it is.
you have to see Niagara Falls.
Yeah, Niagara Falls is spectacular. Actually, if you ever go to Niagara Falls, it is well worth the money to do. It used to be called the Maid of the Mist. I don't know if they still call it the Maid of the Mist.
That's at the Hornblower cruises.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's a boat, and you ride right into the gorge, like kind of a thing, and in front of the falls, and it's spectacular. I mean, I had never ever been on the boat until just a few years ago, and it's always run ever since I was a kid, and probably before then. But never went on it. And so Walter and I went on it one time, and it is spectacular. Just to see the falls from that point of view. Of course, you are going to get wet. They give you raincoats and stuff like that. But it's if you get a chance, if you're ever in Niagara Falls, in the warm weather, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend the cold weather. It's nice looking in the cold weather.
But yeah, if you see the falls in the winter when they're frozen, they have lights on them in the whole bit. That's pretty spectacular too. And it's pretty cold too. As well. But yeah, that's one thing. Okay, not me. I'm on to, let's see. I'm just trying to catch up. I'm obsessed with keto flaxseed muffins. Well, keep you regular. Bonnie's been from Nova Scotia to BC. So have we, as well. Just only place we haven't been besides the territories is
Virginia
Newfoundland.
says she's been to Edmonton too.
Yeah. Who said that? Virginia? Oh, okay. Virginia's been there. Okay. And Roy says he needs to go to Vancouver. Yeah, I guess. We haven't been to Vancouver in many, many years. Well, we were in Vancouver this year, but that was just at the airport waiting for a flight to
He's never been
Australia.
to Canada.
Tracy, you've never been here? I thought, Tracy, you said you had a sister or something that lived in Canada or something. I thought you had a relative that lived here. Maybe I got that wrong. Kathy says, I've been to Montreal. My brother-in-law played for the Expos. This was in the mid-'60s. The French Canadians were not very friendly.
Because he said no, she doesn't have any relatives.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought that. Yeah, okay. It's hit and miss with the people in Quebec when you go. Sometimes you go and, there's no problems whatsoever. And they'll switch over, most of them. If you go to Montreal, Quebec City, they'll switch right over to English because money talks.
But if you've gone there during some of the more political times
when they're talking separation,
and then there'll be a pain in the butt and they won't switch over.
Yeah. So the French in this country, we have a love-hate relationship with them. We love to hate them. Because they are all about, they don't even consider themselves a province in Canada. They consider themselves a country in Canada. And they want special treatment from the rest of Canada for things they always have. And actually, that's historical. The reason we are a country that has two official languages is because of the way our country was created. The French were here first, beyond the indigenous people, okay? And they settled Montreal, Quebec City, and Quebec, and then the English came, and the English beat them out, took over, but the British were not strong enough to maintain that, and they realized it. So what they did is they made an agreement with the French saying, hey, look, we're going to be ruling, but we'll let you keep your language, we'll let you keep your religion, because most French Canadians are Catholic. And we'll let you do what you've always done before. Just the fact, though, just know that we are now governing you. And that's the way it's been through all of history. And that's why we have, Quebec is like a little country within Canada. When you go to Quebec, it's very different than the rest of Canada. It's got especially Quebec City, it's got a real European feel to it. I like Montreal, I like Quebec City, but it depends on the political climate at the time, whether or not the people are going to like you or not, or they're going to give you a hard time. They don't give you that hard a time. I mean, if they want to get paid, they'll bend. I mean, you go into a restaurant, if they're going to pretend they don't speak English to you, then start getting up and leaving. They'll talk English immediately. I can tell you that. Or in retail, in the etc. Furnish says to Edmonton, and we'll be going to Edmonton in June. Bonnie's missing Newfoundland and the territories. Someday we're going to get to Newfoundland. It's on our near horizon. And Janet says, I love Canada. I've been to both the East and the West Coasts. So, Janet, what is it you love about Canada? See, we're too close to it.
Where are you reading Canada?
Right there's Janet. Are you following or what?
Yeah, mine seems to be a little...
Well, it could be. Andy's been to Toronto and Thunder Bay. Okay, Andy, why Thunder Bay? We've been to Thunder Bay as well. Nobody goes to Thunder Bay. Why? Because it's too far north, for one thing. And there's not a heck of a lot in Thunder Bay. Tracy's never been yet. Victoria, BC on a cruise, and Nova Scotia from New England cruise. Okay, Jody's been. Anita says, I met lots of Canadians in Florida at the beach. The snowbirds, of course you did. They're all down there. Bonnie says, we were so nice. Yeah. Yeah.
But she's biased. She's Canadian.
Yeah, you're biased. Yeah, we're Canadian, I think. Bonnie says to Anita, I think in the winter, Canadians are more the population than the Americans. More the population than... down in Florida. Yeah. The snowbirds, as we call them. Heard about the barge that recently broke loose up above the falls. Yeah, that's been there since, I think they said 1917 or 1918. I remember as a kid seeing that, and always kind of spooked me. Because the story I heard, and there's a lot of stories, but it's not true, was that this barge got No, that was a different story. About a guy in a boat and his wife. They got caught by the rapids and they were going to go over the falls. He was able to get close to the rocks by that barge and he pushed her out of the boat so she'd be safe, and he went over the falls. It's a legend. But that barge has been there forever. Boy, if that sucker goes over the falls, you'll certainly hear it. Don't be on the Maid of the Mist if that happens at that point. Not a good situation. Anita says, my cousin just took that ride and they were in yellow raincoats. Yeah, and you still get wet. Like, you can't avoid it. The mist is... That's why you want to go on a really nice, warm, sunny day. Bonnie says, Canada's spectacular in all its glory. Such a great country. Well, yeah, but we're biased, Bonnie. Of course we think it's a good country. We live here. We do not have two official languages, and New Brunswick is the only province in Canada to be an official bilingual province. I don't understand that, because technically our whole country is bilingual. We have two official languages across the country. It's federal. It has nothing to do with the provinces whatsoever. Now, the French, they have fought for years the language laws. They've always wanted to put French and French only out there, and then they saw that was not good for business, and so they kind of backed up on that one, although every now and then it rears its ugly head. Yeah, Quebec is officially French. That's their language, but they are bilingual. It's federal. It is not provincial. Everything in this country that comes from the federal government, doesn't mean from the provincial governments, but from the federal government, has to be produced in the two official languages. In Ontario, you will see both official languages on our road signs. But once you get out of Ontario and you're going to the west, you won't see French. The West don't like the French at all. But that's because in province, that doesn't have to be the law of the province. Provinces can control the language for their province. But if it's anything that has to do federally that affects the whole country, it has to be printed in two official languages.
In Ontario, working for the ministries in Ontario, they strive to be bilingual ministries as well. Like they have had forms go out where they're not in French, but they have to have a leaflet inside that is in French as well.
And in our school system in Ontario, it is mandatory that kids have to take French in grade 9. After that, they don't have to take it anymore. But we start French education, actually, or French language education in kindergarten in our province. Of course, none of us can speak it.
Un peu.
Yeah, un peu. What I know about French is on the side of a cereal box, but
Rice.
yeah, Ritz rice. Yeah, that kind of thing. Virginia says, soup is ready. I'll catch up the conversation on replay. Okay, Virginia. Andy says, my son and I were on a road trip to Minnesota and decided to go into Canada. We stopped at Kakabaka Falls, beautiful country. Never heard of that. Let's see. Minnesota would be what? Below
Is that near
Saskatchewan? No, it's not near Thunder Bay. Chris says, our next holiday will be a cruise. We're thinking Japan, UK, or Europe. Still trying to decide. And that's actually was my next question, which is, what's your favorite spot in the world? Or where would you really like to go if money was no object and, all factors, there weren't any factors in it, you could just go? Where would you like to go? Someplace you've been before or someplace you've never been before? I would like to go to Japan. I have decided someday. And we keep playing with the idea of India, but I'm a little not sure. Although met lots of people that have been to India and say they've had a great time. The only way I'd go to India would be on a very well organized trip where I'm going to be staying in good accommodation and I don't have to reenact a scene from Slumdog Millionaire kind of a thing. And Japan just looks really fascinating. I think it's expensive, but then travel is expensive. So let's see what's next here. Janice says, the beauty. I live in the Texas Panhandle and it's dry and flat, but pretty in its own way. Walter's been to Texas. I've never been. I've never been to Texas.
Okay, there's Kakabeka Falls.
Where's Kakabeka Falls?
There's the U.S. There's Kakabeka Falls.
Oh.
It's towards Thunder Bay, but not.
Oh, it is? Okay. Well, there's something new. I've never heard of that place before.
Yeah, we live in Ontario. But it's on the other side of Ontario.
Oh, so Bonnie says, okay, New Brunswick is the only officially bilingual province. Okay. So does that mean then everything in New Brunswick has to be written in both languages? So all the signs, all print material, everything has to have a French side and an English side. Because if that's the case, then I can see why it's the only official bilingual province. Ontario, you don't have to have everything printed in French. It's done more or less as a courtesy.
The Kakabeka Falls is close to Thunder Bay. So.
Oh, okay.
Or in Thunder Bay.
Or in Thunder Bay, okay. That's why we haven't heard of it.
Well, we should have gone there when we were there.
Well, maybe we should have. No, that's not true, Bonnie. In Quebec, you do not see just French-only signs. There was a point when they were doing that, but now not all the signs have English on them, but they do have some. It's sort of like how we work in Ontario. Okay, you will see, like on the 401, which is major highway, right? And it connects into the major, I think it's Highway 20 in Quebec, and you will see the signs in two languages on the road there. I'm not sure, though, if you'll see it in as you go towards Windsor. I can't remember. But you don't walk into a restaurant and see both official languages on something in Ontario, unless it's a federal document. Then it has to be for it. So I guess so. In Quebec, I think they do that the same way, and it depends on their mood. If they're feeling very separatist, then they start passing more laws or things saying, no, we're just going to have French only. And that controversy's happened over the years. And it's when then suddenly you have English companies decide, you're going to do that, we're moving out. And that happened to Quebec on several occasions.
In the 80s, especially when the Quebec started talking separatism. I worked in Toronto and at the time, and a lot of people started migrating from Montreal to Toronto, and a lot of businesses were migrating their head offices from Montreal to Toronto because they didn't want to deal with the French-only situation.
Yeah. Well, Bonnie says Ontario is not an officially bilingual province. I have problems with the definition of officially bilingual.
Well,
because I don't know what that means.
But I thought we were, because I worked for the Ontario government, produced all the we did property assessment. Everything in property assessment has been bilingual.
Yeah, and also because we have Francophone community up north. We have many what we call Francophone.
Yeah,
French speaking.
Penetang and area is all French Canadian.
And so they produce the documents for Ontario.
All the Ontario documents have to be bilingual.
In French. But if you mean officially bilingual, meaning that everything that comes from the government must be written in both official languages, then, well, it is.
Well, for property assessment, it has to.
Everything in Ontario that comes from the Ontario government is written in two official languages.
No, if you looked at our computer systems, they aren't necessarily in two official languages.
No.
That are not presented to the public.
So I'm
but
not.
Anything that's presented to the public has to be in French and English.
So I'm not sure what that means. Well, I guess we'll have to look it up, like you suggested, Bonnie, because that's interesting. Don't know what the definition of those things are.
I'll have to look that up.
Yes, we'll look that one up. We'll look that up, our Funkin' Wagnall. Carol says, Tracy says Japan. She'd like to go there. And Carol says, I would live in Tokyo if money, no problem. Lived there almost 7 years. Oh, yeah? I've heard that Tokyo is very, very expensive. And Italy and Whitley. Jody says, where's Whitley? I don't know that one. Italy is nice. I wouldn't want to live there, though. But visit it again, yeah. Each time I've been, I've liked it a little bit more. The very first time I ever went to Italy, I didn't hate it. I just found it very, well, what I thought by my estimation, and I'm talking 35 years ago, I guess it was because I was naive. I hadn't traveled much, and I just found a lot of things that the Italians were doing seemed stupid to me. But I have been there since several times, and each time I go, I like it a little bit more. I like Rome. I like Venice. That kind of thing. And places, but my favorite place is on my couch here.
According to Wikipedia, New Brunswick is the only officially bilingual province.
Yeah, what? The New Brunswick is West.
The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedom specifically recognizes that English and French are the official languages of New Brunswick.
That's interesting. So, learn something new every day. Janet says, Israel, she'd like to go. My daughter went to India. Did she like it, Janet? Wibbly. Joyce says Wibbly. I meant Wibbly. Wibbly Island, okay? I still don't know where that is. Look up Wibbly Island.
Where is this?
I don't know.
No, where is it on the thing?
Right, where?
I don't know how to pronounce.
Wibbly.
You never pronounce anything properly.
I can't see your screen. I do so. Well, first of all, you have to use your finger to move this, right?
Yeah.
There, right there. Wibbly.
Okay, well, that's completely different than I thought you'd have to spell that.
Well, who's the idiot now?
Well, you didn't spell it. You didn't pronounce it right.
Wibbly. It's like I've never pronounced your name right either. Asshole. Is that how you say it?
I was going to tell you that.
Yeah, right. Tracy wants to go to Oak Island. You want to do some excavation and look for the lost treasure? Isn't that what that television show's about? Bonnie says, my son-in-law is from... I'm not sure how you say that one. Miratus? Is it? I don't know how to say it. So it would be my place to go. Okay. Anita would love to go to England, Scotland, France, Italy, and Greece.
Okay, there's Whibley Island. It's off the coast of Washington
Oh,
State.
okay.
And it's south of like where Vancouver Island is.
Oh, all right. And what would that island be famous for? Is there some kind of wildlife or something there that attracts people, or is there natural phenomena that people like to see? Jan says, come down and we will do quilt shop runs. Yes, yes, I'm there. Bonnie says, yes, everything in New Brunswick is officially bilingual. I'm saying check it out. Yeah, we've checked that out now. Signs in Quebec are French. You're talking about Ontario. In Quebec, signs are in French. Well, maybe that is the way it is now. I don't know. Last time I was there was English as well. So, but like I said, it depends on the mood. The Quebec people are always changing things around.
I mean, there was a time we went to Montreal, and I mean, all their restaurant menus were in French, and we can read French enough French that that we can get by on it. But and at the time when we went, that was in the 90s or whatever, they wouldn't talk English.
Yeah.
Whereas now they will.
It's a funny province when it comes to things
when
like that.
We went to a show there last time we were in Montreal, it was a few years ago, and they did the entire show in French. So
yeah, so who knows? Let's see. Chris says, I went to Japan before with my mom. She always wanted to do it. It's a great way to see the country. We had a stop in Russia. Amazing. It's a cheaper way to see everything than traveling internally. Yeah. We've been to St. Petersburg in Russia.
When we were on a cruise.
Well, that was a cruise thing, yeah. Bonnie says her husband would go to Oak Island too. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people really interested in that. Andy says like to travel through the Canadian Rockies. Well, they are something. There's no two ways about it. We've been through them as well. And yes, you really don't know mountains until you've gone through the Rockies. Bonnie, I bought Oak Island exploration stock 30 years ago. It cost 1 penny per share. I bought $100 worth, and it's now worth more for the certificate than the stock. What does that mean?
What certificate?
Yeah.
Okay, the stock's not worth much.
This is just saying
you can get more money out of this certificate, like just having the certificate.
Oh yeah. Okay, so does that mean that Tracy, you're rich? Anita says, I watched Jay Swanson's vlog in December 2018 where he went to India.
Depends on how much the stock is worth.
Hell no, I would never want to do that. The Indian. Yeah, I know that. I think I'd rather go to Japan before I ever went to India. And Joyce says, I learned about it from a YouTuber. It was very wooded and rural. Nothing famous, just simple beauty. I want to rent a cabin there. Peace and quiet.
That's funny because I know lots of people have been to India and they love it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I went to one of the guys I worked with just before I left a couple of years ago. He went down. Mind you, his wife is East Indian, so.
Well,
but
she got it in then.
They went, and she knew what to do when to go there. But he says they ate in regular restaurants and everything else, and they were fine. He said they didn't have any problems.
So, anyways, well, there's lots of other places still to go in the world, like to see too. So here was my question for the day, if you caught the preview or whatever. So tell us, we're getting close to the end of our time for today too. So tell us very quickly, if we were to come to you for a visit, how would you keep us entertained? Talk among yourselves, and then bring it up. Here, how would you keep us entertained? What would it be that you'd want us to see or to do for sure in your area? We're planning holidays. And as I said, we're not going to show up on your doorstep unannounced. Okay, so don't worry. Bonnie says, think we should experience the place ourselves and not scare others. Yeah, true. Because you hear all kinds of things. It depends on your personality too, or what it is you're looking for.
Years ago, I went. A lot of people said, "Oh, I don't like." We've been to London, England, and it's dirty. I don't like going there. And then we've been to London, England several times, and we don't think it's dirty.
And yet, people come to Toronto and think it's really clean. It's not.
We always say it's dirty.
It's dirty. Toronto's dirty and violent these days.
Yeah.
There's been so much of that. You think it was like New York in the 1970s or something with it. So, yeah. Don't want to scare you, though, from coming. There's lots of nice things to see. Okay. But yeah, I guess you have to see these things. I mean, I know lots of people have said they don't like this, they don't like that. We've gone and we've had a really good time. So it's whatever you're into, I guess. Chris says, road trip, show you what it's not on the tourist map so you don't miss out on the best of the country, and take you to the best shows and at the best food rather than the promoted stuff. Okay.
Yeah, that's always the thing when you're traveling, is you always get stuck going to the tourist traps.
And we always are bad at picking restaurants when we're in some place foreign that we don't know. We just always tend to hit the worst ones.
Well, not necessarily. We've had some good luck.
Well,
I remember that one where we went and it was raining when we went to Venice. And
yeah, that place. Yeah, it was pouring rain and we were in Venice and we just went into a little
family-run cafe.
And we had food was great. And
it could have been the 2 liters of wine.
It might have been the 2 liters of wine that made it that way too. Yeah. If you guys come over again, you're welcome to stay with us. Okay. Well, I don't know when we're going to be there again, but we'll keep that in mind. And thanks for the offer. Andy says, would take you into Chicago, prettiest skyline U.S. I have heard good things about Chicago from several people I know that go on a regular bit, but we have not been there. And you know, the funny thing is, Chicago, if we were to drive to Chicago, it's what, 12 hours?
Yeah, about
something like that. So it's not like we don't even have to take a major flight to get there. We've just never gotten around to it. Joyce, if you take your homework before coming, I'd be open to visiting what you had on your list. I'd take you to the mountains, casinos, White Sands, National Park, Denver for restaurants, comedy club. You're making it sound very enticing, Jody. What are you doing in July? Anita says, I'd take you to the home of the Wright brothers, to Carolyn Park, which would tell you Dayton, Ohio, and the Air Force Museum. In my town, to Harrison's and Coldwater Cafe to eat. That sounds kind of interesting. It'd be a historical trip on that kind of thing. Yeah. It's just interesting what if you came to our area.
It says White Sands NP.
White Sands NP. What's NP? Is really cool. What is NP? Is that a state? No, National Park. It's National Park. Okay, got it. Yay! We're playing Guess the Acronym. Okay. Yeah, got it. National Park. Okay. Had a blank there for a minute. I know how to cook. I used to be a caterer, so I'd make you many, many treats. Okay, you're getting... Jody's kind of moving up on the ladder, people, here. Okay. All right. So...
that looks nice.
What? Did you see it?
Sands National Park.
I think I've heard of it.
Well, this is National Monument.
Oh. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. So anyways, yes, lots of places in the world. If you came here, we'd have to take you into Toronto. Because basically that's where all civilization is in our area. Sort of thing. And of course, we'd have to take you to Niagara Falls, which is about 2 hours away from us. Because everybody wants to see Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls itself, the town, is kind of tacky. It's got a lot of touristy, trappy things in it. But to see the falls and that is quite...
Tacky Town.
Yeah, Tacky Town is
Actually,
nice.
it's not as bad as it used to be.
No, they've cleaned it up a little bit. I used to love Niagara Falls when I was a kid because it was kind of a giant amusement park kind of on the streets. But it still is. But
I like we go there every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because actually, I never get tired of seeing the falls again.
No, I know. It is quite magnificent. Bonnie says, I like a very serene life. It would be totally an anxiety experience to try to live up to what sounds like your lifestyle. I don't know.
Our lifestyle's not that exciting.
We might lie.
We like to see things when we're traveling.
Yeah. But you know something? The way we travel is not the way other people necessarily would travel. One, if you're going to say, okay, here's something that will not attract me to coming to see you. If you're going to take me out on a nature hike through the forest, I don't think so. No, not going there. I was a Boy Scout. I was a venture.
Not unless we were specifically going to see something
very
unique inside the forest.
But I'm not a tree hugger, and I'm not... my idea of roughing it is a Holiday Inn without room service, okay? That's as far as I'll go with it. Yes, I know, but you haven't really experienced the lifestyle of the people.
I'm not sure when the last time you've been to Niagara Falls, but since the casino has opened there, it's gotten a lot nicer.
Yeah, it's really... Well...
it's gotten better.
Let's say they cleaned up the streets and put up nice facades and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's gotten better than it was in the old days, but it's still a tourist trap. There's no two ways about it. And Andy says, I actually prefer going into nature for photography. Yeah. Now, if you've got quilt shops on the list on any of these trips, I'm there. Okay. One place I'd really like to go is to Hamilton, Missouri, to the Missouri Star Quilt Company, because I hear that town is nothing but one gigantic series of fabric stores.
We gotta have money to go there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because you'd be paying a lot. I'd have to drive because I'd never get it all on the plane coming home. And Anita says, there's no place like home. Let's click those heels. And Bonnie says they have casinos in New Brunswick too.
Yeah, actually, in Pickering here, you're building a huge casino.
Casinos are all the thing these days. I'm not a casino person. I don't gamble because I'm too cheap, because I'd lose money, and I don't want to do that. That's why I don't buy lottery tickets either. I'm too cheap. It's kind of fun to walk through them, to see them, especially like Falls View at Niagara Falls, or when you go to Las Vegas. Like, holy crap!
Well, actually, Prezi, you said you would do authentic things. Actually, that's one thing that is something that I like too.
Yeah.
We sometimes watch bizarre movies because they're different. But sort of off the beaten tourist track would be interesting.
Yeah. But at the same time, we're cautious travelers too.
Yeah.
We don't want to go into areas where, this is the real life kind of a thing, to the point like where,
like I would
dingy side of town.
I wouldn't go on my own as readily as if I knew somebody was taking me there.
Yeah, if I was with somebody who knows the area and stuff like that, I don't have much the same kind of fear or whatever with it. And having said that, though, we've gotten ourselves into places where we shouldn't probably have been, usually by accident, not by choice. So, like we wandered into the combat zone in Boston, what they used to call it.
Yeah, well, I don't think it exists anymore.
Probably not. It was sort of the dingy red light district.
When was that? That was in the...
that was in the 80s, wasn't it? That we did that?
That was... no, it was probably early 90s, I think.
Mm.
We wandered into the bad area of Boston. Of course, that's happened to be where the gay bars were.
Yeah.
And and that's where I walked into a knifing.
The knife fight.
I saw some things I didn't like to see.
Yeah, we were pretty shook up with that one. Because it was ironic, because the guy in Boston where we were staying, and we were staying pretty much right in the downtown core, but in those days we couldn't afford a whole lot, so we were staying in not a flea bag hotel, but it wasn't the Ritz.
It wasn't like your Hilton
Or anything like that. And the guy said, because we weren't sure about the parking, and we sort of parked on the side of the street by the hotel. And when we came in, we said to the guy at the bar or whatever, said, "So is our car okay parked there?" And he goes, "Oh yeah," he says, "your car is safe." He says, "Yeah, well, we'll keep our eye on it." And he says, "Your body's safe here, but your car might not be, but we'll keep an eye on it." And then we went out, didn't get into it, but saw the knife fight and the whole bit, and went, no, your body's not safe either here. Now that's many, many years ago, and as I said, we were probably where we shouldn't have been, but we were naive and didn't know that at the time. So, these things happen. Bonnie says, Missouri Star quilt experience think happens in any large city. I've been to Europe and don't see anything more beautiful than Canada. Yeah, well,
that's not true. I've been other places of the world and I've seen some beautiful things.
Like Canada is gorgeous country. There's no two ways about it. But
when I go, I don't really want to live anywhere else.
No,
but
I wouldn't live anywhere else.
I have seen beautiful things in other countries that I think are beautiful. But it's like anything. Like your brother and sister-in-law moved out west, right?
Yeah.
And all they would talk about was, the mountains, and all that. It's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. And yeah, it's beautiful. The mountains are beautiful. But you take for granted your beauty, I think, of your surroundings in an area that you live in.
Yeah.
Right? Because, we've had, people come up to Ontario and say, "Oh, it's so beautiful here. You must love living here," and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And yeah, it is very beautiful. Like when I drove you up to the retreat and drove back, I always admire the countryside that we drive through and stuff like that. But you don't really see it as much because you live here.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. It's like that. Right?
Like I think Venice is beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful cities I think in the world is Venice. What's left of it now that it's sinking. But that kind of thing. When we were in Australia and in New Zealand, so many spots I really thought in Australia and New Zealand really appealed to me. But I've always said, if I couldn't live here where I live in Canada, kind of a thing, I'd live in Australia. Kind of a deal. And we've seen other things in the world too. I love London, England. As far as big cities are concerned, that's one city I've never felt uncomfortable in with it, and it's a huge city.
Actually, Venice has an odor, but it doesn't really smell like that I can think of. Maybe areas of it.
Well, it smells like the sea.
Some of the hotels smell musty inside because they're always covered.
Well,
water, right? But
you got water in your basement for sure.
But depends. It may have a different odor than what we're used to.
Yeah. Well, every place has a
yeah.
But
when we were in Venice, I never thought it was like gross smelling or anything like that.
No, I didn't think so. Now, Jody says I got chased in New Orleans during Mardi Gras. We've been to New Orleans. I don't know.
We weren't in Mardi Gras.
No, we weren't there for Mardi Gras.
We were there. It was still always busy. We were actually there in the summer.
Yeah.
So it was like mega hot.
It was interesting. Would I go back to New Orleans? It's not high on my list. I would definitely not go for Mardi Gras. I'm not a crowd person, for one thing. And, now, I didn't hate New Orleans. I can't say, though, that I was comfortable in New Orleans. And whether or not...
Last time we were in Venice was 2008.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought it was still pretty beautiful from what
I thought it was.
And that was we're talking 10 years ago. They have floods. They had floods then. They still have floods now.
Yeah.
They have a water management system right now that helps reduce the floods, but I don't know. It depends on what your perspective is, as beauty is, and stuff like that.
Like Jody says, I thought New Orleans was disgusting. Actually, yeah. But I think the problem with New Orleans is it's got the reputation of being a really party town because of Mardi Gras and because they drink on the streets and they throw up on the streets. Now, I'm talking about the French Quarter. Okay. I don't know if we actually went. We never really went that far out of the French Quarter, did we? When we were there,
We not really that much.
we went into the district where all the nice houses are. We walked up there.
Yeah.
In that where like where Anne Rice has her house and things like that. Sad part about that was that on one side of the road is all these nice houses, on the other side is something they call the projects or something like this, and this is where all the people who really
Poor
are
people,
the poor people basically, and very many of them are black in there, and it's just the contrast between the two being so close together. This poverty here and this wealth on this side. But I suppose that's not unusual in many cities either. But no, New Orleans is not someplace I'd necessarily run back to. What are we saying here? Chris says, we in Australia are going through some bad droughts and bushfires at the moment. Everything is brown. I forget what green grass looks like. Yeah, you've been having a lot of bushfires lately. We've been seeing that on the news.
We've had, I'm not that it's a really correlation, but we've had some hot summers here where everybody's grass goes brown too. So
Jody says, I parked in the bad side of town, didn't realize it. I lost my shoes and had to jump a fence. Okay, you had quite an experience, Jody, there. Chris says, when I went to UK, I love visiting Stonehenge and Bath, as well as other historic places. London was a bit blah, though. I don't know.
actually, we've been to London a few times, and we've only been there. Usually, it was about 2 or 3 days at a time, and then a couple of times ago, we went for an entire week, and we've done that again since.
Yeah.
And we always find lots.
We always find lots to do, and I don't know. It's just something. Now Paris. The first time I ever was into Paris, I could see why people fell in love with Paris. The last time we went for a day thing because we took the channel. We took the rail, underneath the English Channel into Paris for a day from London, and not so much.
I would say it was weird that day because we could see the contrast between being in London and in Paris.
It was a tale of two
cities. We were only in
cities.
Paris for a day. It was kind of interesting to see a sudden contrast between the two cities.
Yeah. So, but it's all what you're interested in too. So,
I have a niece that loves nature, and all her travels is to do with nature. Like she's been to the Galapagos Island, she's been to all kinds of other places that are just for seeing nature, and she's really into that. Whereas I'm not really into that.
No.
So I couldn't care less about going to the Galapagos Islands and seeing the turtles. For one thing, I don't think people should go to these places because I think the wildlife should stay on.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
So,
let's face it, they're dressed alike kind of today. I'm not sure what that one's. I've lost the thread there. Paris was cool, Andy says, but people were pretty rude. Yeah, we found that with the French. I would like this off your menu. We do not have that.
Actually,
we'll have this
I had a bad experience in Paris. When was that? That was quite a while ago. That was in 2004, and I had a 1 week subway pass.
Oh yeah.
And we had arrived in Paris on the train, and we were trying to get into the subway, and we were dragging a suitcase behind us. Well, this very helpful man helped me get through the turnstile, only to relieve me of my 1 week subway pass.
Yeah.
Right. So,
we went to the
kiosk and bought another 1 week subway pass. Right.
Except the first person we went up to.
No. When I went to the kiosk and got the subway pass, I had spoken English. I said somebody robbed me of my pass, and they apologized, and they gave me. And I said I wanted to buy another pass, and they gave me the pass. They were speaking English to me, and then after getting the pass, we went through the turnstile again, and we were looking to see which subway train we needed to take to get to the hotel. And I asked the very same person who I just spoke to getting the pass, and she spoke perfect English. and I asked her if she knew what subway we had to take to get to where we were going. Suddenly, she decided she couldn't speak English.
Yeah. It felt just like Quebec. No.
Yes, it did.
To be serious, it did. Not to put anybody off of going to Quebec. You shouldn't worry about the language if you're going to Quebec. They will speak English, okay? You will be okay in Quebec. And Quebec is, if you go to Montreal or to Quebec City, they are fascinating places. I like both of them. You go to Montreal if you want nightlife and you want shopping. You go to Quebec City if you want a European-like experience, because Quebec City is like being in Europe as opposed to being in Canada. Okay, so you've got that here. So don't be afraid of the French people, because they're not that bad. Money talks. Okay, it always does. But anyways, well, Bonnie says, I agree. It is what you were interested in. Some people like to sit on a beach for a week. Some people like to see the ancient ruins, etc. All being a personal experience. Yeah, I like to see the tourist things. I do.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the reasons we've never gone on an all-inclusive vacation to one of the islands in the Caribbean, because we don't want to sit on a beach for a whole week.
Like,
so,
people will criticize us and say, oh, you really didn't see the real country. I'm not in the real people. I don't care about the real people or the real country. I want to see the things, like when I go to China, I want to see the Great Wall of China. You know, when I go to Australia, I want to see the Sydney Opera House. Okay? Because these are things that you hear about and I want to experience them. Okay? Now, I don't mind, if I'm spending a little bit longer in a place, if it's not completely a whirlwind tour. And that's why we've been to Australia 3 times. Because we knew there was so much more to see than just the Sydney Opera House in Sydney. Okay? And we've seen a fair amount of the country. And we still love it. So, that kind of thing. It's a large country, for sure. So it took 3 trips. To see it, and I'm sure there's much more of it we could see too if we go back again someday. But who knows? So yeah, traveling, I think but people who turn around and say to me, "Oh, you didn't experience," I'm not getting down on my hands and knees in a mud pit to eat crickets because that's what the real people are doing. No, not for me.
Well, not only that, you can only see so much of a country in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You can't, unless you go there and live there for 6 months, you can't really experience.
No. And I'll say this right up and call me a snob, but I'm not going 3rd class when I travel. Too old for that. Not doing it. Don't backpack. Don't do hostels.
I mean, we might do a crappy hotel room.
Every now and then.
But
yeah, but usually no. Now it doesn't mean that we're living it high on caviar and champagne.
We don't go and stay in the most expensive hotels either or anything like that. Can't afford that either. So
and there's 2 kinds of people who talk about travel. There's the people who talk about travel like, oh, we did this and you must do that and we had dinner with the and then there's the ones that say you didn't see the real people. The only way is to get out there with your backpack and rub elbows with them. No. I can't afford the one, and I'm definitely not doing the other one. We're in the middle of the road. So we are what you would call tourists. And I'm very proud of the fact that I'm a tourist. That when I go, I want to see the things that are on the tourist maps, that are the must-dos and must-sees that you hear about on TV and everything like that. I want to go and see those. I want to see the Eiffel Tower. I want to see the Tower of London. I want to see the Sydney Opera House. I want to see all the iconic places. I want to see them. Hell with the other people. I'm not interested in them at all. So, yeah, it makes me a snob. And Bonnie says, it's all about respecting what others like to do. Exactly. If you like to go out and you like to hike or you like to lay on a beach, I don't care. That's fine. If that's what you want. It's not my cup of tea.
You have to make yourself happy.
Yeah. That's the whole point. You do what you want to do from it. So I don't really criticize other people for what they want to do on their holidays. Just don't expect me to get all excited about what you did if I'm not interested in it. I mean, oh yeah, that's interesting. Okay, great. But when they start telling me that I had some friends a couple of years ago when we went to China and we came back, and they're telling us, and they'd never been to China at that point,
I probably would never go.
and probably would never go. They're telling us, well, we didn't really see the real China. In fact, we had several people this who had never been to China, but because we weren't because we said it was very Western. And so I was very surprised by China, and that's a whole discussion for another day. But they were basically criticizing us because we hadn't really. Oh, you hadn't seen anything. Well, yeah, we saw a lot, and I saw what I want to see. So that's all that matters. Okay. So, anyways, this has gone to almost 2 hours. So it's time to go. And guess what? We're going to have a part 3 because we only talked about the travel. I've got other questions, people, for you. So next week we'll carry on with those. And right now, just to let you know, it was a competition, but Jody's in the lead for who we're going to visit because she sounded like she had a good itinerary. So, so I'm sorry, Anita. You sound like you got some interesting things in there too, but you're going to have to up the ante. Okay, so you guys can think about it over the next week. Of course, some of you may feel this is a threat, so we'll see. Anyways, everybody, we got to go. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll see everybody. Oh, next week will be 1 hour later. I'm teaching an art journaling class because next Sunday is December 1st, and it's the first Sunday of the month, and that's when my art journaling class is. So we will be on at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as opposed to 4 p.m. So, and Jody says, and I cook. Yeah, I know, that got me too. So, we'll see you all next week. Have a good week. Say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye, Walter.
Finally.